Hi, fifth grade. Let's see what happens today in one crazy summer. I believe it's chapter 22, Itsy Bitsy Spider. Vanetta couldn't stop practicing her poem. Well, it wasn't hers. She got it from a book of Negro poets at the center. If she couldn't sing her song, she would recite a poem all by herself. It wasn't enough for Vanetta to say her poem, was actually Gwendolyn Brooks' poem titled We Real Cool. Vanetta tried to be her poem. Since there were no applause from Fern and me the first time around, she started up again in as zombie-like as she could to imitate the toughs standing around outside the pool hall. Big Ma heard Vanetta and saw her standing like a shiftless bum on the corner. We'd be on the next plane back to New York City. Vanetta was into a groove and couldn't be stopped. She started up yet again, saying, "We real cool. We left school," as loud as she could, in case Cecile hadn't heard her. I would have done both Vanetta and Cecile a favor by giving her a swift kick, but I didn't care if Cecile yelled at her. I didn't care if Vanetta disturbed Cecile's peace of mind. So I let Vanetta recite on and on. We real cool. We left school. Vanetta was a perfectionist, but only about certain things that would get her noticed or earn her applause. Big Ma said Vanetta wouldn't be such a show-off if Cecile had picked Vanetta up more when she was a baby hollering in her crib. I didn't need a flash of memory to recall Vanetta's crying. She cried loudly and a lot. Our door was open and Cecile was in the living room, lying on her beat-up sofa. Cecile could hear Vanetta perfectly well. Vanetta had said this poem 7 times so far. I was certain her aim was to say it 10 times each night, but Cecile didn't let her get that far. It only took 6 angry foot stomps for Cecile to make it back to our room. Cut that crap out! That's not even a poem. I could have knocked that out in my sleep. You'd think Gwen Brooks was some sort of genius. Then she stomped away, and this time into the kitchen. I heard her hand smack the swinging door hard. Back in the 4th grade, my teacher would have us lay our heads down on our desks when we came in from recess. She would recite poetry to help us calm down and get us ready to learn more science or history. Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, County Cullen, William Blake, all fine poets whom we should know, she'd say. Well, I knew a real life poet. I didn't know how fine Cecile's poetry was, but I had seen her writing poems in the kitchen, sometimes on the walls or in cereal boxes. Who else in my classroom could claim that they knew a poet and that she was their mother? So in the afternoon that Robert Frost's horse had clip-clopped through the snow, I raised my hand and told the class my mother was a poet. Now, Delphine, Mrs. Peterson said, nice girls don't tell their classmates lies. She kept me after school and told me that she knew the truth about how my mother had left home and that wanting a mother was no excuse for dreaming up one. I couldn't leave the classroom until I had written, I will not tell lies in class 25 times on the blackboard. And then I had to erase the board clean. Vanetta sulked something pitiful when Cecile told her to cut it out. Vanetta only heard that her recitation stunk. She wasn't thinking about how Gwendolyn Brooks was a great Negro poet and that Cecile, also called Nazilla, was printing her own poems in the kitchen. Last year, Vanetta practiced her curtsying more than she practiced her wings and time steps for the tip-top-tap recital. She fell on her fanny in the middle of her solo and was miserable for days. Usually, I'd pick up Vanetta's broken spirits until she was once again crowy and showy, but now I let her sulk until she received no praise from Cecile. Serves you right, I thought. Just to be evil, I rubbed it in with an insult. I don't know why your lip is hanging, I said. You're just like her. We both know which her I meant. I said that to make her feel mad on top of being hurt. Just like I know how to lift my sisters up, I also know how to needle them just right. And not, R2. We did a few rounds of that and then a final not 2. Okay, Vanetta, suppose you're going to be on TV. She perked up on that one, playing Tinkerbell on the Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. But it was PTA night or school talent night, and your little girl, Ludi Bell, Fern added in. Ludi Bell, I picked up, glad to have Fern's support, had a part in the Itsy Bitsy Spider, in her Itsy Bitsy Spider costume. And she had been practicing her Itsy Bitsy Spider song and dance for days, weeks, a whole 2 months. The Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. I knew I could count on Fern to climb high with her tiny, sweet voice. Vanetta sat there, defiant, unmoved, proving my point. It was like looking dead at Cecile. A shiny white Cadillac comes to carry you off to be Tinkerbell on TV, but your precious little girl, Ludi Bell is standing at the door in her costume waiting for you to take her to school talent night. What would you do? That's easy, Vanetta said. I'd get in the shiny white Cadillac with my matching vanity bag and luggage. And what about your little girl in the costume, I asked. Yeah, what about little Ludi Bell in her costume wanted to dance for her mama? Each and every one of us knew the feeling of having no mother clapping for us in the audience. Only Big Ma and sometimes Papa when he came home from work in time. Crowy and showy, Vanetta said, first of all, I wouldn't dare name her anything silly as Ludi Bell. If my little girl would be happy I was a Disneyland movie star, she would tell her jealous friends at school, there goes my mother on TV. I'll bet your mother just fries pork chops and wrings wet clothes. My mother is on TV, flying around in blue fairy dust, waving a magical wand in a cute, sparkly outfit. The magic of Disneyland had won Fern over to Vanetta's side. It was all that blue fairy dust and magical wand stuff. Fern's eyes twinkled as she imagined having a colored fairy godmother. I was looking to get Vanetta's goat, but I ended up only losing Fern, and Vanetta was her old self. And that's why you're like Cecile. You want to be a fairy on TV more than you care about how your kids will feel and if they miss you. Do not and do too went on between us, but until Cecile stomped back to the room and said, cut that crap out.